I was going through the tradition of what is called free jazz, so I was very influenced at a certain point by musicians like Cecil Taylor, Ornette Coleman, John Coltrane, Albert Ayler, and that influence is what led me to the voice. It is an instrument. It's an instrument that I've refined through a lot of years of, let's say, athletic training, but also I was born with it, so it's something I wanted to preserve through all the kind of musics I've been singing. My father had a gospel choir that came to the house, and I played piano with them, and so I came up hearing the music. I come back to the idea of being able to be a medium for the sound that I hear. I work in every conceivable way except that I don't notate it as music. I mean, per se, like notes. Now, I just never have really done that.
There are no more tickets to the funeral. No. 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 No more tickets to the funeral. The funeral is...
In Plague Mass, and on that holy day and on that bloody day, were you a witness? Were you a witness? I'm talking about, I say, cowards and voyeurs. I'm talking about people who watch an execution and do nothing about it, or just taking the position of a crucifixion. I'm showing the blood and the bones and the muscle and hanging flesh and the ugliness of the crucifixion, in which a person's back is broken vertebrae by vertebrae, and it's a very long death, very long drawn out death. And so it's sort of a vocal incarnation of that kind of idea, rather than the nostalgic idea of praising someone else's martyrdom in a very detached and user-friendly way, in the sense of affording oneself compassion as a survivor of someone who has departed. The Plague Mass is composed for those persons who are fighting AIDS on a day-to-day basis, not as a requiem for the departed.
Let us bow the guilty forward, hang the sinner and the coward, let them burn on Judgment Day. Run, you liars, fate awaits thee, when your faces shall expose thee. None can hide on Judgment Day. saints on Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, the just and the unjust are lined up together and separated then to see who goes to eternal hell and who goes to eternal heaven. And so in a way, I'm having a satanic laugh at it because and reversing that position. So those who have been tortured on earth now are the judges of those who have perpetrated their suffering. And it's kind of like a Bosch painting, and per se, it's really a last laugh in a way.
The devil has designed my death and is waiting to be sure the planet of this black sheep died before it finds a cure. Oh Lord Jesus, do you think I'll serve my time? The 8 legs of the devil now are crawling up my The firm hand of the devil now is rocking me to sleep. I force my blind eyes open low, but I'm sinking a little deep. Oh Lord Jesus, do you think I serve my time? The 8 legs of the devil now are crawling up my spine. I go to sleep each evening now, dreaming of the grave, and see the prayer I used to know, calling out my name. Oh Lord Jesus, do you think I'll serve my time? The 8 legs of the devil now are crawling on my spine. Oh no, Jesus, do you think I'll serve my time? The 8 legs of the devil now are crawling up my spine. Jesus, here's the news from those below. The 8 legs of the devil will not let my people go.
I started studying with different teachers of the bel canto tradition, which basically is an Italian technical tradition which places the sound very far in front in the face and uses the bones of the face as well as the diaphragm to create a very projected and resonant sound. I played with a couple of guys. I played with Bobby Bradford and studied with him, who had worked with Ornette for a while, and I played with Roberta Miranda from Horace Tapscott's band, and a lot of different people. I used to be part-time in this band that would meet in Pomona with David Murray and Stanley Crouch and Bobby and James Newton. This was many years ago, 20 years ago, and I played piano then. And that was when I started to hear that the voice was what had to happen next, as far as what I was hearing. And that is where all the electronics have come in too, is just further extending the vocal sound into another place. And I think the closest way to think of it is the way Hendrix would work with a guitar and very, very simple electronic modification. So that it was a new axe that he was dealing with, and he was just a medium for whatever he could hear. Now, when you think about Coltrane's phrasing or Ornette Coleman, you don't get singers that phrase like that, and a lot of the reason they don't phrase like that is because their breathing isn't right. They don't have that kind of physical power.
Drinking all beer. Come and get it. Oh, smooth, slick, viscous, nice. Get it, nursing. Come on, get it. Six, seven, eight, and six, and seven, and eight, and six, seven, eight, and six, seven, eight, and six, and seven, and eight, and six, and seven, and eight. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you. 6, 7, 8, and 6, 7, 8, and 6, 7, 7. It won't hurt you. 6, 7, 8, and 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 6, 7, 8. It won't do this. Sure, I feel it. 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, and 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 6, 7, 8
Vena Cava refers to the destruction of the mind in extreme isolation. So by this, I'm talking about severe depression. I'm talking about symptoms that are perceived to be signs of dementia when in fact they're signs of extreme depression. And in the case of someone with AIDS, that diagnosis can be very damning. A human being cannot exist without dialogue, and so when a person is deprived of another voice, he or she will invent it in order to survive. This could be inaccurate, but it seems to lead to kinds of writing or point towards old writings in the Old Testament when there's a creation of a God invented by despair, or just, "Oh Lord, why hast thou forsaken me?" Just dialogue that seems to be mandatory in order to survive.
go away. 1, 2, 12 o'clock. He is on what is mine, and he when there are what is mine. 1, 2, 12 o'clock till she isn't, and go away. 1, 2. And what is my name?
Insekta is a piece I've just performed at the Kitchen in Lincoln Center, which deals with torture of a person in an enclosed space, in a space where there is no escape and no avoidance. It refers to hidden populations, populations that are considered powerless and therefore useful for research purposes. And so by this I refer to populations, let's say, historically in Willowbrook, in which people were told that admission only if you are willing to participate in research experiments, i.e. hepatitis experiments, which were not terminated until a lot of people died, Tuskegee syphilis experiments, theories about chemical biological warfare that have taken place in Baltimore, Maryland for many years, and references to 1974 ratification of a treaty saying that there would be no more aggressive CBW, but it would continue to be defensive chemical biological warfare, which of course amounts to the same thing. And so this system of experimenting on prison populations, mental health populations, lost populations, correlating very much with the earlier work in the Plague Mass, which discussed quarantine procedures mandated in Leviticus, the chapters of Leviticus, which has been used, separates the clean from the unclean, used by all the Catholic and the fundamentalist churches, and kind of, geography of a plague mentality per se. And so that's what Insekta deals with. So it deals with a person confined in a space and having no ability to affect the aversive conditioning at all. They have pictures of, obviously, of monkeys in cages who when they receive shock and pain, bite on some kind of rubber board or something, until when they bite on the rubber board they receive another shock, and so they end up biting on their hand, and then pretty soon they begin to kill themselves one way or another, or if not by biting themselves to death, by becoming completely catatonic. And so that's something that is common about Vena Cava and Insekta, is a kind of behavior that is the most dangerous. I was lucky enough and honored to work with the director, Valeria Wasilewski, who's worked with the Grotowski Theater in Poland, the Polish Laboratory Theater, for a while, and has directed a great number of beautiful works in New York. With her, I conceived of the piece a while ago to take place, several months ago, to take place in a cage, that was somewhat, in her description, like a dog run, and this cage would affect the performer in the sense that I was using ring modulation and devices and square wave modulation devices on the voice to show the effect of the organism through the vocal sound and so forth. But I'm able to do climbing on it and moving around quickly in the space. And I worked with Dan Kotlowitz doing the lighting design, and then two sound designers, and it was a lot of I created a lot of tapes, and they created a lot of tapes using my human vocal sounds and then non-human vocal sounds of animals under torture, animals in different states of execution, different industrial sounds, variety of sounds that I created in the studio, and we recorded and then sampled, and then an extreme array of live signal processing, and then the texts that I wrote most of the text myself, but also incorporated elements from Psalms 30 and 35 from the Old Testament. There's a liturgical quality to my own writing as well, I mean, which is probably the beneficiary of working with these Old Testament texts for a long time, and also the poetry of Baudelaire, Tristan Corbière, and there's the very liturgical quality to those kinds of works that interest me, and my music, I think, is the correct medium for that type of text. And so I'm writing, curiously enough, more and more these days, probably because the hearing and the writing have met as the voice was trained to sing what I heard. So with any craft, I suppose it works that way.